Why?
That's my friend's. Um, I've known him for like 10 years. He's like my own personal troll.
Nice.
Welcome. We are live. I have scoured the globe of YouTube to find the greatest Star Trek fans, and I found two, and I got Brian Master Anun and Saint Ravage here. Welcome, guys.
Hey, what's up?
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate you having me. It's nice to meet you, Brian.
Same.
We're talking Star Trek tonight, and I'm very excited for this. And I am way out of my depth, but I'm going to give it a shot. Let us know, guys, in the chat. What was your favorite Star Trek series, movie? What was your favorite? What was your worst? We're just celebrating Star Trek tonight and just talking about our favorites, our favorite moments, and things like that. St. Ravage, we'll start with you. What was your favorite?
The original series.
Okay.
The original series, it's the origin of, it's ground zero for all of it. Yeah. But more importantly, I was born in 1970. So I was, the first TV show I remember watching was reruns of the original series. Just incessantly. I had the schedule memorized when they'd be dropping in on the channels. And, everything I learned about storytelling, character development, character arcs, and honestly, fandom in general, because not only was Star Trek the first TV show I remember watching, the Star Trek Gold Key comics were the first comics I ever had my hands on. My dad was collecting them, so I had stacks of the old ones that had like pictures from the series on the cover.
Nice. Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, so that's, for me, the original series is always tops.
Awesome. How about you, Brian? What was your favorite, and what was influential about this series for you as a person?
Well, I became a fan in 93. The first episode I watched was The Search. It was a Deep Space Nine episode. And that hands down is my favorite series, just start to finish. I think how they
wife's favorite too. My wife loves Deep Space Nine.
Well, I think they handled everything just the best way they could. I mean, with exception of some of the more religious tones that they used with the Bajorans and stuff like that, especially with the Cisco story later on. He was one of my favorite captains. Everybody on that crew until they brought Worf in the fourth season. So that show was just like hands down one of my favorites. So, and not only that, but like Next Generation was kind of was the one that was on after school every day. So I would catch the reruns every day, and then I would write down, because I had the chronology that only went to like season 5 or something like that. So I hand wrote all the episodes in as they would come on, just so I would have the list of them all. So from season 6 and 7 of Star Trek, The Next Generation, very special to me, and they're really, really good. So I'm a Next Gen era fan. Like, I just like all three of the shows, Next Generation, DS9, and Voyager.
Yeah.
Oh, I fully agree. Those up until, and I'm sure we'll get to the giant turd that was dropped on the Star Trek series. Up until that point, I was a fan of all of it. I was absolutely down with all of it. There was a moment in time when I was, I guess, 18 years old when Next Gen started. And because I felt so attached to the original series, because I felt so attached to the movies, because I have such a strong connection to that, the entire story arc for all the characters, I was really pissed about Next Generation. It made me.
And by then they had movies.
Who's this goofy ass bald dude taking over? And the other thing that pissed me off, the other thing that pissed me off was that the characters are cribbed directly from the script that Gene Roddenberry wrote for Star Trek Phase 2 in the 70s. He had plans to create a new series, Star Trek Phase 2, and he effectively took all of those characters, and yeah, he did sort of, force some of those characters into Star Trek the Motion Picture. But the character descriptions, the series Bible, as it were, he used that to create Next Gen.
Yeah.
And so I recognized everything about it right away. So I was like going, he wasn't even original, And then, you see the first couple of episodes, and I'm like, I was right. I was right all along. And then it starts to get good, and you're like, I was still right. This is a fluke. It's a fluke, I tell you.
And then best of both worlds happened.
Really, and then the series really, really took off. It really did, particularly around the time. And this is nothing against the actress or the character, but and I was not going to say Will Wheaton, just in case anybody thought that's where I was going. Yes, the elimination of him from the series was a bonus, but when they killed Tasha Yar, I'm not saying that they should have killed her, but the fact that they did was so unexpected.
Yeah.
And she kind of died like a bitch. I mean, didn't even get a.
She went out quick, man. It was just like
no fight, no nothing. Then just boom, and she's out. Like they turned off a light switch, and that made the show feel like it had stakes, real stakes that I hadn't felt in Star Trek for a while, and I liked that a lot.
I remember that one too.
Yeah.
Well, the tar pit.
For me, it was Next Gen, dude. Like the thing is with shows, like I haven't been into Star Trek in a while, but like the stuff they did with Next Gen gripped me. It's like my big thing is if I become a fan of something, you got to give me a reason to care. You got to give me a reason to want to watch, and I liked Commander Riker. Jonathan Frakes is like one of my favorite actors, especially in that time. I started I was maybe 5 or 6 years old when the show came out, so I was really young, and so I liked it. And then Worf was one of my favorites because the Klingons kind of had the reputation of being savages, but Worf was he was special. He felt different. Yes, he was a warrior, but he was also a little cerebral, and he thought about everything. And the way he spoke was slow, and he's methodical, and so I love that character. The Worf character was amazing.
I agree, and I agree, and I do want to add on to this, just to throw a little more love Worf's way. Out of the entire Star Trek franchise, Worf has had the most complete and compelling story arc. Amen. Because you really meet him as this kind of amateurish little, basically a Klingon punk kid, and you follow him you follow his life so long, ending up on Deep Space Nine, where his character arc went even farther, even deeper. Yeah, just
to the
amazing.
Moon, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it was this fantastic character development of Worf. And it actually made me a little sad that there aren't other characters in the franchise that were able to have such a multi-decade growth period, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, I'd probably argue maybe Captain Picard with addition to some of the newer stuff. But yeah,
no. You don't want him evolving into a whiny little bitch. So come on.
It's okay. This is good debate. Good debate.
No, I kind of happen to enjoy New Trek. Actually, one of my favorite new shows is Lower Decks, and a lot of the people hate it. Yeah. It's chock full of references and inside jokes that Star Trek fans can get. I mean, I don't see a problem with that. One thing that I will say that I butt heads with the older Star Trek fans, in a sense, Star Trek taught me to be very open-minded about things, and that meant trying new things and
Yeah.
kind of hoping for the better. Because like we were saying before like I was saying before we started, especially the Next Generation era shows, and I'm going to include Enterprise. Um, it took a while for people to finally, even fans, to get going with the show. The first couple seasons of Deep Space Nine, first couple seasons of Voyager, you throw in 7 to 9, dude, it's a show. They got rid of Kess. It depends on where you sat with her, but no, after the first couple seasons of Enterprise and that shame of a show, it had its moments, but
Shame of a show.
yeah.
See, Enterprise actually really embraced the original concept, the wagon train to the stars. They were the frontiersmen.
Mhm.
And I found that fascinating. And I thought those first 2 seasons where they were exploring and particularly fucking up, I loved when they would go to a planet
And not be prepared. Yeah.
No, I love it when they go to the planet and they say, we're from Earth. And the people on the planet are like, never heard of it. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, get to rolling.
It was great.
Next.
Yeah. I
started
quite liked Enterprise.
When they started doing the serialization, and then when the show abruptly ended and the ending of the show, that's kind of where I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
Enterprise, no.
They fucked them over with that ending. They fucked the fans over with that ending.
Yeah, computer end program. It's like, no.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even a good DS or Next Generation episode. The Pegasus, come on.
Yeah, the Pegasus. The Pegasus. Give me a break. Real quick, let me say, yes, Stealth X-Pod, I did say you were my troll because you've been my troll for over 10 years now. You troll me everywhere. He's a friend of mine. Don't worry. I'm not complaining.
I'm getting some of these messages.
But each one of the shows like had their own little niche though. Like as far as like Next Generation was kind of expanding on stuff. But Deep Space Nine gave us the Dominion, a really good antagonist. And Voyager expanded on the board, which was like, I mean, you can't get any better than that. And you throw in some Herosian, just like a species that all they do is hunt. It's like, bro, like,
and
that was what was great about
it. I actually like Voyager. Like,
oh yeah, I do too.
I thought Voyager was pretty cool.
Now the thing is I do like the first 3 seasons of Voyagers. I don't hate on them. However, Kess was a one-note character. They had no idea what to do with her.
Yeah.
So when they finally booted her ass off and brought in 7 of 9 with all that depth of story that they could tell, the series, it was like somebody had stuck a rocket up its butt because it went crazy after that.
Yeah, that, and then like a lot of the cameos, like the wrestler The Rock got the freaking cage fight with 7
that
of 9.
was his first non-wrestling appearance.
I was an old WWE fan, so I used to watch Rock every week. So freaking coming into that, they're like, oh, Rock's gonna be on Voyager, and then they would show the preview, and they're like, oh shit, I gotta watch this. And then I saw it, and then I just kept watching Voyager because I'm like, okay, this is cool.
He gave 7 of 9 the rock bottom.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, like
the people's eyebrow is like, oh.
A lot of people wanted to give 7 the rock bottom.
Yeah, that's very true. It also gave us Jeffrey Combs as another character. So, like, he's like the Star Trek chameleon.
Yeah, probably the best guest star in the entire franchise.
Mm-hmm. Hands down.
Awesome.
Brunt from the FCA. Like the Ferengi arcs on DS9, some of those were my favorite episodes. It's just because it was like family, but like the Ferengi were an allegory for, the 90s American, that greedy, not necessarily the all Americans, but like just kind of your Wall Street types, so it was really cool to see that juxtaposed in an alien character where all they care about is money. So it's just like, it was really good to see the family aspect of it and expand, because the Ferengi and the Next Generation were like, I wouldn't know how to classify them. I mean, they were kind of like a warrior species almost, because they really messed with
it's another one that they didn't know what to do with, and you could particularly see it when they very first introduced them, and they had those stupid whips that were
those electronic whips,
huge.
Get you Picard. Come on.
Ridiculous.
The
Oh my
Stargazer
God,
episode.
this is awesome. Yeah. Hey, Dad Duvens, he says Voyager's my favorite. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
My
Voyager.
guess says Voyager's underrated. I definitely agree with that.
I agree with that too. I believe that Voyager is absolutely underrated. I think people judge Voyager by those first 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And I freely admit that those first 3 seasons are extremely middle of the road, maybe even lower middle of the road Star Trek.
Yeah, I was just trying to find itself. Like,
Yeah, well, and Cass was an anchor.
yeah,
They wrote Cass into a corner just by in her character design.
Her character lifespan had like what 6 years,
Yeah,
or something like that. It was just very limited what they could do with her.
Yeah,
and then like she started going mental. It was like,
yeah, they completely hamstrung her before it even started, just by the way they designed the character.
Yeah, but then like in the 4th season, you started getting more like the Tom Paris Hollow Adventures.
Yeah,
like I talked about
those are
that.
fun.
Like some of those are the best. Like it reminds you like the old Flash Gordon, old school sci-fi type stuff. Or just,
I was thinking Crash Corrigan, but yeah, Flash Gordon, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, your wife's here. It's about to get fun. Hey, Christine, how's it going?
Yeah, Deep Space Nine is her favorite, and I saw her mention in the chat earlier that she did not like it.
Yeah.
She really does not.
Yeah, I know she liked Deep Space and Voyager.
Yeah. When we watch Voyager, we have to skip the first 3 seasons because she's like, no Cass.
Come on, how do you skip?
It's really easy. There's not a whole lot of development. I mean,
Yeah.
the whole purpose of that show is they're lost in space. So, and not only that, but the Kazon. That was another part that I didn't like.
Yeah.
It kind of fell flat with me. Also, the Seska stuff with the Maquis.
The Seska stuff could have been done better. The Kazon, it wasn't so much. It was the physical design, not the written design.
Yeah, it was kind of off-putting. Like just
the way they were written worked just fine, but the way they looked like circus clowns. They literally looked like Ronald McDonald. Every single one of them.
Budget Klingons. It was like, I was like, no. If you're gonna have a show with Klingons on it, have a show with Klingons on it.
Yeah.
All right, Dad Duvin says I like Discovery. Just putting that out there, but it has its problems.
I'll say the best thing that Star Trek Discovery did is take that show and set it 900 years in the future.
Which should have been done in the first place, then I wouldn't be bitching about it.
Basically. No, I know that.
I mean, I would still be bitching about it because I think it's poorly written trash, honestly. I'm sorry. I really feel that show, the writers on that show are some of the most untalented I have ever seen writing screenplays. It makes me insane.
No, I get you on that one. I could say that's kind of across the board, though. There's a lot of trash writing out there nowadays.
Oh, I agree. I agree, but it comes to a head for me in Star Trek because I've always felt so attached to the series.
Well,
so it's because I'm sitting here with a Phaser 1 unit in my hand.
Yeah, there you go. No. And we were the dawn of the internet complainers. Like, come on. It started with Star Trek. Chat rooms and forums. We invented the internet, damn it. As we know it today. No, I just, as far as how I judge the 2 shows and stuff like that, it's the same way I look at the JJ movies in the late 2000s. Loved the first one because at the time Star Trek kind of was like was stale. It was dead. Like you could poke it with a stick, it wouldn't do anything. But it took the snow globe that was all settled and it kind of shook it up a little bit. Got people who weren't necessarily interested in Star Trek into it. So I think that's a benefit right there, just because I remember being in the 90s and getting made fun of all the time for being a Star Trek fan. I was a young teenager when in the 90s. So it was like that was my experience with it. It might have been different for, people who grew up in a different time, but like for me, I understand and I feel sympathetic, but I always wanted to talk about it with other people who weren't Star Trek fans, because I don't feel like, I don't know.
If we are going to start discussing J.J. Abrams, I'm going to have to put my Phaser 1 unit into the Phaser 2 unit and get ready to kill. because
here we go, the JJ
Star
talk.
Trek. That man ruined Star Trek.
He injected Star Wars into Star Trek. Is what
He
did.
injected failure into Star Trek.
And look at what he did in Star Wars.
And there's the
For
next
better or for
bit.
worse.
J.J. Abrams, I've said it before, and you guys will hear me say it 1,000 times because it is my biggest fucking pet peeve. J.J. Abrams is an absolute untalented cultural vampire who has never done anything original, not once. You name one of his projects, and I will happily give you all the things that he stole it from. That includes Lost, which is a complete fucking ripoff. Starting with, I know we're just talking about Star Trek. Lost was a ripoff of The Prisoner, the BBC show, mixed with Twilight Zone episodes and Outer Limits episodes to drag the plot out. It was garbage. I mean, the man is not original. He just isn't. And to take the humanistic philosophy of Star Trek and tear it into shreds for the sake of action set pieces, shaky cams, and lens flare is just appalling to me. Absolutely appalling.
I disagree. I think that if you're looking for a director who can handle nostalgia, you call J.J. Abrams.
Oh, no, you don't. If you're looking for a director to rip something off and then call it member berries, that's J.J. Abrams.
Well,
let's give Brian a chance to talk.
There's a difference between nostalgia and just ripping shit off because you can't do anything on your own.
Well, I would say nostalgia is kind of ripping shit off if you want to get down to
it. It is all ripping shit off.
At the end of the day, it's apples to apples. I mean, yes, it is. It's ripping shit off and it's derivative, but everything is ripped off and derivative these days because Hollywood is not original anymore. No, I love the JJ movies, with exception to Into Darkness, because I hate that movie more than life itself. It's a horrible film, and they flipped the glass in the end, and I hated it. But that's just because I feel so strongly about Star Trek 2. You know what I mean? So it's like, but no, dude, you could say that for every era of Star Trek. You said it yourself. You didn't like Next Generation because it wasn't Kirk. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Before I saw it, before I really let it get into me. Yeah.
But that's one thing that like I chafes against me. What did we learn from Spock? Infinite diversity and infinite combinations. To me, that means having an open mind. Like,
okay. Now,
I'm
not disagreeing with you, but I just have an interesting bit of trivia. Okay. The IDIC medallion that Spock was forced to wear in that one episode actually had never been included in Star Trek anywhere. And Gene Roddenberry actually needed a piece of merchandise that he could sell so he could try to show the network that merchandising was viable with Star Trek. So
it was a cash grab. Gene Roddenberry did it himself. Damn it. So we can't blame anybody else when it's all Gene Roddenberry's fault.
Roddenberry actually created that medallion and then tried to get Nimoy to wear it and talk about how great it was. And Nimoy said, no, I'm not going to talk about how great it is. I'll wear the thing and then I'm walking away from it. And that was the best compromise he could get out of it. So he's just wearing the medallion. Sorry. I did not mean to interrupt. I just always thought that was funny.
No, I got you. No, but that's kind of like, that's always been my mantra for it. Like when I grew up, I didn't have, my dad wasn't around. So it was just, they were my surrogate dad, the captains, the first officers. That's why I like Riker so much. Chakotay, you know, like they were kind of there for me when others weren't, you know? So it was like, that's kind of why I love it so much. But also, like I said, though, I kind of grew up in a liberal city where it was just, you know, kind of, I grew up in Sacramento. So it was just like really, really with a very open, liberal minded mom. So it was just like constantly So, like I said, for me, I have no problem like adjusting to the new stuff. I was kind of put off with the first season of Discovery, and I was starting to get a little upset when they entered the fourth season, because every season has been like this mysterious galactic ending mystery, and it's like this season they actually started focusing on characters, kind of like what Next Generation did when they couldn't do conflict. I love the Chaos on the Bridge documentary too. It's fantastic. There's a lot of documentaries about the first couple seasons of the Next Generation, which like really spill out what happened. There was a lot of drama behind the scenes, big time. And
Yeah, and 99% of it was Roddenberry.
yeah.
The thing is, my hat's off to Gene Roddenberry. He created something that does effectively make him immortal. But he himself was a toxic force within his own creation. There are multiple places you can look them up. I found them in several. I read William Shatner's books. I'm sorry, the books he would write about his Star Trek memories and more Star Trek memories and all of these. One of the things that he has that stands out constantly is Roddenberry was coming in behind the scenes. He was not allowed any creative decisions on the Star Trek movies after the motion picture.
Yeah,
and
Harv Bennett took over, and
exactly, and he hated that it seemed so militarized. So he kept pitching this script of where they go back in time and they stop John F. Kennedy from being killed and the world's a better place. And he pitched this over and over again to such a point that they actually ejected him off of a set at one point.
Oh wow!
And then finally, when he found out about Star Trek IV, where they go back in time, he evidently danced his way to the set and was like, "You're finally listening to me. Now we've got to talk about how you're going to save Kennedy." And that was it. That was the last time he was ever allowed on a set.
To like, get out of here.
He was a toxic. He was toxic to his own show, even though he had an incredibly creative mind and brought all this out. He was the wrong person to be maintaining it.
True.
And the first couple of seasons of Next Gen prove that. And I know this is going to sound cold-blooded. Nothing compared to the things I say about J.J. Abrams, but it is going to sound cold-blooded. Next Gen improved after he died.
No, you're not wrong.
His influence, his toxicity wasn't there, screwing the show up.
Yeah. Have you watched the documentary Chaos on the Bridge?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, dude, that's William Shatner. Like, he was like, "Yep, this is what happened, guys." But no, it's just I watched that documentary and I think to myself, I'm like, wow, that's exactly why things went down the way they did, and why I'm grateful that Rick Berman did what he did, like just to take over as basic steward, with the Bible in hand, and that's where it went. But you also have to like give your hat off to like people like I. Stephen Bear, who broke the mold with a show like Deep Space Nine, where there was conflict between the characters. And
the show was the conflict between the characters. It's without the conflict between the characters, there is no Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what made the show so compelling.
Oh yeah, especially like right off the gate though, with the Bajorans and the formation of other things that would lead into stuff on Voyager, like the Maquis, stuff like that, dude. It just hammers you. It was such good television. Especially when you think about there were 3 shows almost running back to back to back.
Yeah, they were damn near simultaneous. That's how one ended right as the other one began.
Mm-hmm. And two of them ran at the same time. It was like, it was pretty damn amazing, and it was a good time to be a Star Trek fan in the '90s. I wish I'd gone to a convention.
Star Trek was on fire in the '90s.
Yeah, it really was.
Commercial spots and promos. Like when I first
headlined
started
the
a Star Trek fan, I got made fun of, but towards the end of the 90s, then it was cool. Especially with Voyager and everything, that really
That's why I think this
if
movie
you want to
right
talk about
here
mainstream
is
appeal,
good.
that was just freaking huge, dude.
Star Trek First
Go
Contact.
ahead and read the comment.
Christine says, Josh, I guess I'm going to cut Saint's hair. He looking like a hippie. Hello.
And go ahead and grab the one right underneath it.
Just for men. Oh, my God. I'm not even that bad. All I said was boomer one time.
At least you got hair on top of your head, man. I'm going bald, so.
My wife and my friend, ladies and gentlemen. I look like a hippie, and I look like an old hippie at that. Thanks.
Man, that's messed up.
I swear, if my wife, Rachel, is listening to this weekend, we're going to do Alien versus Predator debate. If you start trolling me in the chat when I'm on my monologue, you're going to have some problems. No, this is great getting you guys here because we have different generations of Star Trek fans, so we can get the different opinions and then find common ground. This is beautiful. I'm loving this.
Now, I did quietly promise you yesterday that I was going to mention something that not a lot of people talk about. Some people know it, some people don't. And I'm about to. But let me ask a question of you in the chat and Brian. What franchise has been more vandalized by the current crop of hideous writers and corporate interference? Star Trek or Star Wars?
No,
neither one. I don't think either one got vandalized, to be perfectly honest. Because if you look at it now, Star Wars, we got Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian. It's getting good. I mean, there's nothing to complain about right now with Star Trek, aside from the first couple seasons of Discovery and people not liking Picard. I still think there's firm ground there to build off of. The problem is that they never brought in a showrunner that knew Star Trek, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
If they would have done that, I think it would have smoothed over a lot of things.
They never had a production company that cared at all about Star Trek or
Paramount's
history.
Paramount's never given a shit about the franchise since day one.
I was referring to
IP mining. Well, I was talking about just Paramount Pictures in general because they IP mined in the 70s to get the motion picture.
Well, where I was going with all of this is that regardless of where you think the biggest cultural vandalism happened, I would argue that Star Trek, the core philosophy of Star Trek, has been completely violated and destroyed. And the characters from one of the most beloved series, Next Gen, have been completely undermined by Picard. But there is a difference between what's happened to both of these franchises. Lucasfilm bought Star Wars, its IP, all of its characters, and all control of it outright. Secret Hideout doesn't own Star Trek. They don't own the IP. The license for the original Star Trek, all the way up to Enterprise, and including all the movies, is not theirs. Which means that all of the garbage that is spewed from J.J. Abrams and his tiny little peg boy, Alex Kurtzman, could actually be undone by wiping out their crap license. This is also one of the reasons why everything J.J. Abrams did and everything Kurtzman did after that constantly redesigned everything around them because they would have had to pay the original licensee, CBS, to use an original Klingon, to use a Tribble. They actually did have to pay for that Tribble when it showed up. And this is one of the things that not a lot of people talk about. Star Trek, the real Star Trek, hasn't been touched because that IP, that license, sits perfectly safe without anybody's grubby little hands on it to screw it up. Nobody talks about that very often. So
It's because they merged the two. It's now under
They
the Paramount umbrella
Yep,
again.
they merged the two. The license didn't change. They still don't have the license.
That's interesting.
They still don't have that original license. They didn't merge the license. The companies may have merged, but they still have to go through the licensing process to use the original Star Trek.
Okay. I don't think that's the case now. I think it's no. I'm pretty sure it's all under one banner now, and they're just the production company that does it. It's not. They don't own anything.
Well, are
Paramount does.
all the old Star Trek shows like Next Gen and everything on Paramount Plus? I haven't checked lately. We just got Paramount Plus. So.
No, and when they finally made the decision to merge Paramount Films with CBS Television a couple of
Yeah.
years ago, that's when they put out Picard, and they were able to use uniforms and likenesses and all that kind of stuff from that original material.
Oh, okay.
That's how we got Picard. That's how
I
everything
haven't
did.
seen Discovery. I've heard things, but I've seen a little bit of Picard.
I wouldn't
I
say
liked it as well.
I wouldn't say it's vandalized. It's alive and kicking. This is
It's
Star Trek.
it's they
It has the
they
message in it. It's
they
not,
destroyed the character of Picard. They destroyed the character of Seven of Nine. Her entire story arc from Voyager was utterly undermined and ruined by what they did with her. Everything that she went through amounts to nothing.
I don't think no. Time passes between when we saw her last on Voyager and when we see her again on Picard. There's
And
stuff that can
she
happen
turned
in
into an
between there.
assassin between those periods of time. She turned basically into a cold-blooded assassin who was willing to stab Icheb, the child she helped raise, through the eye.
She didn't.
She killed Icheb.
She didn't kill Icheb. That wasn't her.
She put him out of his misery.
Well, yeah, because they just ripped his eye out. Like, okay, that's fine. Like, I guess I'll just agree to disagree on that one because, like I said, that
We're going to have to agree to disagree on everything because that isn't Star Trek. It completely violates everything. All the core philosophies of the original Trek are thrown into the four winds.
this is the funny stuff I deal with the DC stuff every night. Instead of a fan base that wants it completely destroyed, we have a fan base that wants to keep the universe going. And it's like, oh Jesus, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I will
can never
say
win.
that Star Trek have made a resurgence for a while. Of course, they had the movies and everything, but like it's starting to become really popular again. So, and I think that's great to see.
The real quintessential devil in these matters was Les Moonves in the first place because he didn't like sci-fi, didn't understand how sci-fi worked, and turned it over to somebody he didn't fully understand.
True. And not only that, but he messed with it back in 2005.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Les Moonves was. If we were going to look for the ground zero of where things went wrong, and fine, agree to disagree, they went wrong. It's Les Moonves. He's where you can trace all of this back to. As much as I do hate J.J. Abrams, and I would love to go through an entire stream completely dissecting everything he ever did and prove it to be trash.
Yeah, you're gonna have to find somebody else because
that's fine.
I don't want to do that.
I will happily skip over him and point it directly at Moonves as the problem.
No, 100%. It's just like Warner Brothers. The ownership messed with the product, and now we don't have the product anymore to shake our fist about. So, well,
yeah.
No, most franchises are dying. Yeah, that's correct.
This is what I'm liking about this stream. Every time you guys start butting heads on something, you find some common ground. And for better or for worse, yes, you guys have your
It's
opinion.
more along the lines of just a concession, like, okay, that's your opinion kind of thing.
Well, yeah, everybody can have their opinion.
The common ground we can find is like 90s Trek. I think that most Trek fans can agree on that. Is like, yeah, we love that. That was golden era Trek. I mean, you know, whether you like the new stuff or you don't, it has its moments, and I think that's got to say something. No, and like I said, if it's not for you, they're not erasing the back catalog, you know,
because they can't, which is what my point was with the license. They literally can't.
Well, yeah, I know that, like, and not only that, but that's like why for years and years and years they put Star Trek out on every platform there was, you know, and it got a resurgence. Deep Space Nine did, you know, with a small thanks to get people getting into Star Trek through the J.J. Abrams movies. I think if anything to be said about the J.J. Abrams movies is that they were a foray into Star Trek for people who've never watched it before. And I don't see that as a problem.
Well, yeah, I don't see it as a problem, but
you see it as problematic, though. I see
it as people watching that and going, "That's not Star Trek. Let's go watch the real thing."
No,
and
those are Star
people
Trek
back
fans.
to it.
But somebody that wasn't a Star Trek fan, they're like, "Oh, this Star Trek seems pretty cool. Let's go back and watch the old shows." You know what I mean? That's the same thing with like the cartoon shows for Star Wars right now. Yeah, they're designed for kids. Like, when was the first time you watched Star Wars? Were you a kid?
1977.
Okay, so you were a kid.
Yeah.
That's my point. It's like when people get introduced to a certain franchise, that's where they put their weight in. So it's like when you got people who are fans of like the prequel trilogies or the sequels, that's because they were a kid during that time.
Yeah.
Give me. Here. Sorry, just give me 1 second. I gotta.
All right, it's okay, Brian.
Shoe.
Sri says, I have like 2 minutes between sessions, so pop in and say hi. Hey, Sri.
Oh, hey, Sri.
Oh, he's not a... Tell him, Ravage, you're not a fan of Minister.
I don't care. If that's what somebody wants to drop me as, then that's fine. I don't care. It means nothing to me. It really does. The idea of saying that this is my group and that's all I'm ever going to be. No, I'm sorry. Do I agree with some of the things they say here and there? Absolutely. Sure I do. Do I disagree with a lot of it? Sure. Do I like all the creators? Nope. Do I like some of them? Sure.
Okay.
That's
older fans of anything will not be as optimistic as newer fans because older fans have been down that road and have had what they feel as their hopes and dreams shattered. So then they will look at the newer product and say, this sucks. Newer fans, especially like if you were I'm 34, all right. Like I grew up in the 90s, so I was a newer fan. So like I didn't know about the original Star Trek and stuff. I've heard of Kirk, but when I was growing up, Picard, bam. Riker, bam. Yeah, Worf. So that was the Star Trek to me. So like other generations of fans, they're like, that's their thing. But to the older fans, they're always going to look down upon it because they're used to their generation. And that's just the gap. It's up to whoever the showrunner is. Hey, let's find some common ground here if we're going to build this big fan base. But yeah, so that's the argument. You guys both have compelling sides in the way you feel, and I can see both points of view.
I would mostly agree with that, but I do think that there are some very very pointed exceptions to that, where the newer versions of things actually work out better. I now that I've said that, though, I was about to start talking about the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, but then thinking about what came after those. they were a huge improvement over the shit that came before him. But then the shit that came after him, you got to wonder, did you guys even realize what you did?
I know a whole group of people who would vehemently disagree with you.
Well, that's just it. First off, I don't want the Snyder bronies to come and light me on fire. But,
I'll stop that. Don't worry about it.
But
the thing is, that thing you guys will agree on because neither one of you like the freaking Snyder.
Well, now wait a minute.
I
didn't like the Man of Steel. I didn't like the Man of Steel, and Batman v Superman was it wasn't terrible, but it didn't do what I wanted. And then I saw the Batman v Superman Ultimate Cut, and not only was that a better film, but it made Man of Steel a better film.
True.
So those two together, if you look at them as one film, I think that actually works out pretty well. Again, Zack Snyder makes really, really dark, hopeless movies. And that's not DC Comics. That just isn't.
Brighton here. Why am I not surprised?
I'm so smiling. I feel the same way. No, I don't hate anything Zack Snyder did. I was part of the Snyder Cut movement before it came out. And I started backing away when people started asking for more. It was like you gave the mouse a cookie and now they want the whole goddamn store. It's like
the fans got what they want. They got what they wanted, and that's a win, and that everyone should celebrate that win. But goddamn, don't be assholes about it. Don't be assholes about it. You got what you wanted, and I'm glad everybody enjoyed it. I still haven't watched it. I will at some point.
It's an investment. It really is.
My problem is,
at this point, I don't care. I hate Ezra Miller. I don't like Ray Fisher. There's people in it I just don't give a flying fuck about it. I already saw the movie once, and I know it's not going to be the same thing, but Jesus Christ, do I want to spend 4 hours with it? It's going to be one of those things where I'm going to have to sit down and just like convince myself, okay, you're just going to have to bite the fucking bullet and get through it.
We're doing this. This.
Yeah, exactly.
Bite down on the leather. It's going to hurt.
First time
we're going.
First time me and my wife watched it, that's exactly what we had to do. She's like, how long is this movie, baby? I'm so excited. I'm like, it's 4 hours. She's like, oh, shit.
I was so excited. I got the digital premiere from Warner Brothers like 3 or 4 days before the movie came out. And they had a DNS server issue. And for some reason,
of course
they didn't come out with it until like 9 o'clock at night. And I was like, oh shit, I gotta go to work.
It's like if I had a time machine, I'd go back in time. And this is gonna be a hot take. If I go back in time, I would have made sure that Justice League was never created.
Yeah, right.
Because of the division. For better or for worse, it was a good movie. But to me personally, it has not been worth all the hate, drama, and stress that it's come out with. Brian is a really good friend of mine, and I have seen the community that we were with that we love so much and like talking about movies and shows and stuff just get ripped apart and destroyed over the Snyderverse, and it's just. Yeah,
well,
it's the same. I would do away with it, so it never existed.
It's the same thing as people bitching about Star Trek on YouTube, or bitching about Star Wars on YouTube, or bitching about anything on YouTube. Oh, they're screwing up. DC done or WB done did DC wrong. I'm gonna go write a cowboy song. It's just I just don't like the argument anymore. It's redundant. All it does is move you back and forth. The fact of the matter is, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Period. That's the best I can say.
Yeah.
That's
why a lot of stuff I don't watch.
It might hurt. It feel like a Band-Aid, but once you rip it off and move on with your life, it's okay. But one thing I found out: don't ever tell people to move on with their lives, because then they're like, "Oh my god, how dare you!" It's like, dude, I'm a sports fan. I have to move on every year.
Yeah. Are you a San Francisco fan too?
Yes. Giants lost in the playoffs this year.
Hey, what about that
49ers
San Francisco Dallas game? Referees getting trash thrown at them and everything.
Keep it classy, Dallas. Keep it classy.
Keep it classy.
That's just true.
Not a football fan, so I don't give a shit.
Okay, yeah. All right, let me get through this.
Now that's actually, just to clarify, I was a football fan until the last player strike. Hearing billionaires bitch that millionaires wanted more money and hearing millionaires bitch that billionaires weren't giving them enough money was enough for me to say, I don't fucking want to watch football anymore.
Yeah, I
I
dipped for years. I dipped for a long time because I was just like, the referees turned me away from football for a good, I would say 3-4 years. And then I just like, it was right around the beginning of lockdowns in the pandemic last year. I started watching again because I found out my team, we got Tom Brady. So I was like, let me check this out. And then, yeah, I've been back ever since. Big Chuck, love Last Jedi.
Let's see. Where was it?
Hey, don't get me started. I love The Last Jedi.
Zakaria Khan, what is your favorite Star Trek movie? Oh, he's getting us back on topic. That's good. Favorite Star Trek movie? It's got to be The Wrath of Khan. It's just too epic. It's too epic. There's everything is done so well. The character arcs are so tightly written, and the movie comes to a complete full circle with Kirk sort of having the midlife crisis and feeling old, and at the end finally feeling young again, but it took the loss of his best friend. Everything in that movie is done so perfectly, and you have Ricardo Montalban just chewing the scenery like he never had before. It's just fantastic. Now, if you told me to pick one other than that, it would be Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, because that felt like season 2 of the original series. During season 2 of the original series, Gene Roddenberry had gone off to go and try to create other series, and he had left the series in the hands of what's the dude? Gene L. Kuhn. And Gene L. Kuhn had a very kind of tongue-in-cheek, sort of wicked little sense of humor. And that came out very strongly in the second season. There was a lot more character interplay, a lot more of, the exasperated looks at each other. It's such a fun season. So The Voyage Home felt like season 2. But Wrath of Khan is the most epic of any of the Star Trek films. And I'll fight you on that.
Oh, I've always wanted one of those.
What do you think, Brian?
Just my foray into Star Trek movies was Star Trek 4. I watch it every time I go to San Francisco. I love that movie. It's really hard for me because I pretty much like all of them. But First Contact for me, it came out when I was in 8th grade. I just have so many memories of like what I was going through at the time that make that movie special, not the movie itself. I still celebrate First Contact Day by watching it. I did it last year. I'll probably do it again this year.
I see Brian every year.
But that show spawned Enterprise, in a manner of speaking. It gave it the shove out the door because they brought back James Cromwell to be Zephyr Cochrane one more time, which I thought was great.
Out of the next gen movies, I absolutely agree. I think First Contact was the best of the next gen movies by a huge margin.
Yeah, because the rest of them are leave a lot for imagination.
The rest of them are good. I'm not taking anything away, but they're not Star Trek good. They're good movie good.
Like, they're good episode, 2-part episode good. We talked about somebody brought this up the other day. It's like Generations feels like a 2-parter. I'd have rather had like All Good Things be the movie or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a better ending for the Next Generation. But Insurrection, once again, that was 100% Michael Piller. Like, that was his writing style. It was derived from an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation where they had to relocate, Native Americans.
Yeah.
So it was like, that felt like a Next Gen episode as well. First Contact, theatrical, epic. It was great. Loved it. Nemesis, it copied Wrath of Khan too much.
It really did. Yeah,
really
they desperately wanted. They
That was Vince. He said it. But
Nemesis felt like they were going, like the behind the scenes. They were going, we really, really need to capture that magic. What was the most popular one that everybody talks about? It's the Wrath of Khan. Let's do that.
I think they made that same decision in 2011 too.
No shit. Yeah.
I've never outspoken in a movie before, like actually said anything. But what did I say? Really? When Spock yelled Khan, that was my first my guttural reaction was to go, really? And if I hadn't have been there, I probably would have got up and left. Like, that's how upset I was.
And I saw a minute ago, I've lost it now, but I think somebody was asking me what I thought of Star Trek Into Darkness. Do you really need to ask?
Yeah. I imagine we could probably agree it was shite. Like, just a massive pile.
Oh, it was giant, hot fucking garbage. And here's another one. Josh got a hot take. I'm gonna throw one out here. Benedict Fuzzy Patch has the worst American accent of any actor anywhere on the planet fucking Earth.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange, it's kind of bad.
Fucking terrible. Why do they keep casting him as an American? If you guys have ever seen Family Guy, he sounds like those two Eastern European guys that you constantly see in Family Guy. Hey, we are going to go over here and get some of the... Oh, shut the fuck up.
And not only that, but he was totally miscast as Khan Noonien Singh.
Yeah,
he was in that movie? Oh, my God.
That doesn't sound ethnic at all, does it?
No, at all. Like a Persian prince or something.
No. We want to cast Benedict Fuzzy Patch.
Talk about whitewashing the characters. Am I right?
How come nobody went there? How come you never heard that? You didn't hear everybody lose their fucking mind. They're whitewashing the character. When they did the Matt Damon movie, what was it, The Great Wall? That's all you heard for fucking months and months and months. They're whitewashing Chinese history. They've made a white savior story, which they really didn't, by the way. They just made a shitty monster movie. But not once did anybody come to the defense of Khan Noonien Singh for being whitewashed by Benedict Bandersnatch.
Bandersnatch.
Couldn't answer that one, man. Couldn't answer it. No, couldn't. No.
Nobody came to the defense of Khan.
Yeah.
Sorry, I went off.
Generations. He died on a literal bridge.
Oh, that's the one where they had him and Picard in the same movie. Okay.
I did not.
Hated it.
That was my least favorite of the Next Gen movies because it felt extremely forced.
It just came out when I became a Star Trek fan.
It felt so
I watched it out of obligation.
It was like, we have to make it seem like they're passing the baton. We have to pass that baton. Shut the fuck up. No, you don't.
Captain Kirk in there, dude.
Right,
Star Trek 6, perfect send-off for the characters. You didn't need to do any more with the original cast.
No,
it kind of diminished the Next Generation cast in a sense.
I agree.
Yeah, it was bad. Well, it was bad because they changed writers like right at the last minute. Oh no!
Oh, that's always a good idea.
Well, no. What happened was they had Moore Braga set to write it, but the writers for All Good Things backed out, and they were writing them at the same time. So they had to squeeze in all good things as well as write Generations. But the problem was that they went through a bunch of like studio mandated stuff that was like, you have to have, because they were talking about Leonard Nimoy coming back, like to direct it. And it was like, that didn't work out. And then, so they're like, well, we got to have the original cast in there somehow, or people aren't going to know who this is. It's like, well, dude, 7 seasons of a show would beg to differ, but
yeah, I was going to, and that was such a ridiculous thought process. I mean, do you not realize that the people that watch TV also get up, go outside, go to a movie theater, and watch the fucking movie? This is not two completely separate populations.
Well, especially if it's based on the show that you're going to the movie for. Like,
yeah, it was such a fucking horrendous idea. It was a horrendous idea that should have been smothered in its infancy. They should have never allowed that. It should have been a straight Next Generation movie and leave the rest of it alone. And the thing is did they actually get all the way to having talks with Leonard Nimoy to come back, or were they just wanting him to come back? Because by that time he was deep into his photography.
They talk about it in the behind the scenes or the audio commentary. Moore and Braga sit down and talk through the movie, which is really, really good and really, really informative. They wrote it right after the 49ers won their last Super Bowl. Like, I was like, oh, that's an interesting tidbit. I'm a huge 49er fan, so that would make sense for me. But yeah, the other director's commentaries were also good because it was and on First Contact, it was Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis. Dude, he directed both that and Insurrection. Fantastic job. At least on the one. Insurrection, it was just, like I said, it just didn't feel like a movie. You know, it didn't.
I don't think that his direction was the problem. I think it was the writing. Yeah, his direction was fine. He did an excellent job directing Insurrection, but he was working with a hobbled script.
Well, and that's a shame because it was like two of the mainstays of Star Trek writing. It was Taylor and Piller, right? Like, Jerry Taylor and Michael Piller wrote that. Like, sometimes
when you've been writing long-term for a television series, it doesn't translate to movies because you don't understand. It's a completely different set of rhythms and timings that you've got to be able to hit to keep that audience. And they didn't hit it. They didn't hit it at all.
Oh gosh, that movie came out right before the Phantom Menace. I remember going and watching Star Wars right after that. It's when the special editions were in the theaters.
Now, you know what?
In the 90s, yeah.
Here's another hot take. Here's another hot take, and this is not actually a hot take. This is a warm take. I don't have a problem with the prequel trilogy. I never really did. I think Jar Jar was goofy, but as far as everything goes, it made sense with where things went. I
didn't have an issue with it. I was still young at the time, so it didn't bother me. My only issue with it now is the fact that I've watched The Phantom Menace so many times that I can't make it past the pod race scene without falling asleep. It's like it's Mother Nature's NyQuil. Like, Attack of the Clones is the only one I really don't like. Out of all of them, and it was just because I was taking theater and acting classes at the time, and Hayden Christensen put on a clinic of what not to do.
Sand gets into everything.
I love you, Padme. Do you love me too? Not in a creepy way, though, Padme. It's just no. But Revenge of the Sith
terrible.
is goat of the prequels. Like.
I
have nothing bad to say.
The thing I liked, there were two things I liked about episode 2. I liked that we finally got to see Yoda in a lightsaber fight dance around like a pen. And we got to see Mace Windu look like a complete badass. Like, and this dude straight up chops Jango Fett's head off. All right. So, and I'm a huge Samuel Jackson fan, and I love the Mace Windu if you're talking freaking the movies, he's probably my favorite Jedi. So
once you get past that platformer gaming level with C-3PO and the Padme and dumb fuck with the going through the choppers,
stamp press.
once you get past that, the rest of the scenes on that planet are excellent.
Yeah, no, it has its moments, but like overall, it's just I find it kind of boring and just the acting is shit. And it's because of George Lucas. He can't direct actors. That's why why the best Star Wars film is not directed by George Lucas.
It's directed by Lawrence Kasdan.
Yup.
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
Richard
you're not wrong.
Or
Lucas,
Richard Marquand, depending on what day it is, because I like Return of the Jedi too.
Yeah. Well, me too. I'm not throwing shade. Not throwing shade.
No. Like I said, depending on what day it is, they rotate in my favorite. Like
George Lucas is a fantastic writer. He's a fantastic creator. He has an incredibly creative mind. He's innovative with his camera uses. He's innovative with how to use the current technology in new ways to do new things, new and exciting and interesting things. But he doesn't understand people. I mean, it's almost like you have to wonder if maybe he was like just a touch on the spectrum before the spectrum was identified as a spectrum.
Possibly.
You know what I mean?
No.
Again, this is not an insult to anybody out there. I'm not trying to be an ass about it, but it's just one of those things you have to wonder. If you read a little bit about George Lucas, he kind of sounds like that.
Just awkward, socially, kind of,
Yeah.
And he does not understand people.
Harrison Ford said it best. He's just not a people person, Like, I get
Has Saint watched Lower Decks? No, I won't. I mean, just like Brian said, don't like it, don't watch it. I already know I'm not going to like it. I already know. I already know that I'm going into it going, fuck this bullshit. Fuck anything coming out of Secret Hideout. So why am I going to watch it and punish myself? I'm not even gonna go to the Lower Decks place.
I would say that until I actually watched some of it, though. Like, I watched the show and I watched all the responses, and they were pretty much what I was expecting. Oh, they're making a joke out of Star Trek. Oh, they're doing this to it. It's like, yeah, but every once in a while, it's okay to take a step back and kind of laugh at yourself every once in a while, or laugh at what you love about something. I would honestly say give it a chance. Out of all the new shows, I would say it pays homage to the source material more so than anything else.
See, but if I want to pay homage to Star Trek, I'm going to watch Orville. Because the Orville is effectively what the new Star Trek should have been.
See, the acting in Attack of the Clones is my only big gripe in the prequels.
Oh, that dude Vince. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, Vince. The acting in Attack of the Clones is horrifyingly bad.
In a way, I felt like it was kind of filler. Episode 2.
Yeah, that, and one thing that kind of grated against me, it got better in Revenge of the Sith, but the complete and total lack of sets.
That's true.
You saw it so bad in Attack of the Clones.
I didn't even think about it. I hadn't even like put that gear going. But you're right.
That entire movie was CG, dude. Like,
every
set scene was CG. The actors are just like clumsily walking. Some of the eye lines are weird. It's just, dude, make a set. That's the only thing I appreciate about J.J. Abrams when he did the Force Awakens. He used real sets again. Like,
okay, and I'm not giving JJ any credit because I think JJ is a piece of shit. However, the set designer on that movie did a great job. Credit.
This is the only thing I don't want to do Star Wars talk, because I got two people here, one who hated the sequels, one who loved it. And if you thought the Star Trek got heated, guys, that's nothing compared to the Star Wars.
No credit to JJ. The set designer did a good job.
Very true. Very true. No, but just that was a turnoff for me as far as that was concerned. And they did that a lot in Picard too, and that was like, ew. Because I knew they were on a budget. It was like, damn it.
The
CG sets suck.
Yeah,
They do. They absolutely do. And nobody seems to. Nobody. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Hollywood idiots don't seem to get that CG sets look like fucking cartoons. There's nothing tactile. There's nothing that you feels like you can reach out and put your hands on.
No.
And that, this is going to be a weird one. This is, pardon me for a weird old man aside, but I'm going to say this, and I'm going to stand by this. The claymation of Ray Harryhausen looks better than any fucking
Stop
CGI
motion.
garbage monster that I have ever seen come out of Hollywood.
And that's the shame, because they started doing good, especially like around the time of the Phantom Menace, when they stopped using or started blending models with CGI. It was the last of the models in that movie, but it was the first time that they actually used like full on CGI mixed with the models, with practice on First Contact. Little fun fact, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So that totally ILM, they're ahead of the game. But that's what scares me about the next Avatar movie, because it's like, dude, nothing about special effects in the last 10 years has blown my mind.
The only thing that about the original Avatar movie that was interesting was the special effects. That's the problem with it. That's why I don't understand
That's why
why
we're gonna make more. Like,
why are you making more?
Too.
Yeah. It not only that, it's Fern Gully meets Dances with Wolves. And that's
A little
it.
Pocahontas thrown in for good measure.
That's the whole movie. That's the whole movie. The only thing that movie had going for it was the innovative special effects that we had never seen before. But I'm sorry, guys, we've seen them now. You're not going to sell me on 2 and 3 and 4 and whatever else you think you're going to do. Have you guys played Star Trek Online? I have been so tempted to play Star Trek Online.
Not bad. I love it.
I played it once.
I've been playing it for 10 years. It's fantastic. Like off and on, but yeah, no. 2010 is when I got a copy of the game.
Ryan, Christine loves your shirt.
Oh, thank you.
An old message I forgot to bring up.
Tractor Supply.
Well, yeah, she loves your shirt. I love your First Contact poster.
I had back in the day in '96, I got the original from the movie theater, and I also had the film trailer for it. Like, that's why I say I love First Contact so much, because like I immersed myself in that movie when it came out. Like,
yeah, it's
nice.
Again, when it comes to the next gen films, that First Contact is miles ahead of everything else they did.
Sure.
And First Contact is also better than 2 of the original Star Trek films.
Yeah.
It's better than Star Trek the Motion Picture, even though that being a shitty film, I still like it. And it's better than Star Trek 5, even though that's a shitty film, I still like it. But I
need to be on hallucinogens next time I watch the motion picture, because I feel like I'd really trip out during the kaleidoscope scene where Spock's just going into V'ger.
The kaleidoscope scene that never ends. It's like 10 minutes long. Yeah,
like a hell of an acid trip. Just think about it, man. God, I have a blast. But, no, I would also include Star Trek 3 in there as well. It is a good movie, and it kind of bridges the trilogy together, if you want to call 2, 3, and 4 together. And it gave us Christopher Lloyd in on film for the first time. Little fun fact on that one.
Oh yeah,
that came out before Back to the Future. Because if it had gone the other way around, I don't think they would have been able to get Christopher Lloyd. But it also had John Larroquette as a Klingon,
which I fucking loved. That was so hilarious to me, because I was a fan of Night Court.
Yeah,
I was a fan of Night Court, and I picked him out in the theater. I saw him on there. I was like, holy shit!
But no, but it's the one that kind of, it's the muted one. If they'd have kept like certain aspects of it, like if Kirstie Alley hadn't been on Cheers and been successful, or like, and stayed Lieutenant Savick, or if they'd fleshed out just a little bit more about why what's happening with Genesis. It's like it's a planet now, but it's falling apart now.
Genesis is
reasons.
planet forbidden. Sorry.
No, some of the better parts is when they steal the Enterprise.
Yeah.
There's a lot of humor in that, and that for Leonard Nimoy's directorial debut, like, yeah, no, it's really good. But yeah, I would say it's probably First Contact in my books a little bit better than Star Trek 3, but not quite.
And that's one that where I disagree, but I totally understand why. I totally understand why. And again, no shade at any of that, because First Contact is an excellent film. There's literally no denying it. Picard with the Tommy gun is one of the best scenes in Star Trek, hands down. When he goes nuts with that Tommy gun on the holodeck on the board, that was fantastic.
I remember that.
That was loaded with cameos, by the way.
Yeah.
Like that scene. Well, because Ethan Phillips was the maitre d', and that's Neelix from Voyager.
Oh shit,
Voyager,
you're right.
Yeah. Brandon Braga is sitting in the restaurant when you come in, and Ron Moore is in the big scene. And there's also a bunch of like producers and their wives. They got the chance to dress up, for the special occasion kind of stuff. Oh, because that's like old timey Hollywood stuff to me. Like,
yeah,
big band stuff is old Hollywood for me. Like, that's just the first thing I think of when I think of like an old movie is a big band. It's so weird. I don't know why, but
And what else did that holodeck scene have? It had a real, honest to God set. Everything was tactile. Everything was really there.
It was real.
And he whipped out that Tommy gun and started going berserk and lost control and was smashing that board. Such a powerful scene. It starts out exactly as you said, such a beautiful homage to old Hollywood. Yeah. And almost in a way, kind of a wave goodbye to that sort of thing, because you really weren't going to see that for quite a while after that.
True.
And then Picard just having that breakdown, all of the trauma from Locutus and the Battle of Wolf. It was just amazing scene. It was like all 7 seasons of the show culminated in that explosion of emotion from him. Such a cool and collected character that we've always known, and he broke right there in front of us.
True.
So good. So good.
I was going to do a funny video. So on The Mandalorian, when they blew up the Razor Crest, there's footage of Enosh watching the video. Enosh is from the Poindexter Lounge. He's another channel that I do some working with.
Yeah, we're good friends with Enosh.
And his scream no when they blew up the Razor Crest, because he had just bought like the $300 like toy that they were going to make for it.
Diecast?
Boom! No! I was going to take that part where Picard is like, because he says no exactly like Picard. And it's just like, and then I have Lily in the background going, you broke your little ships. I'd have been like, yes! It was perfect. I'm still going to do it. It's going to be a drop. I'm going to debut it. It's going to be amazing.
That's cool.
Let me read this real quick. Gaming or what says swing by show support. Thanks.
Hey.
I promised Gaming I'd give him a shout out, so I'm going to give him a shout out and I'm going to give him a plug. All right.
Okay.
If you guys like gaming content, Gaming or what doesn't do the same old boring ass video game streams that you see everybody else do. This dude switches it up and does some great stuff. So if you get a chance, check him out on YouTube or Twitch. Gaming or what, he's got some great content. Go check that out.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly concur. Gaming or what has a fantastic Twitch channel.
Okay.
Robert,
all right.
Please state the nature of the medical emergency.
No. In the beginning, the Holo Doctor, a lot of people pissed and moaned about him, but he had such a great arc by the end of that series. Such a fun arc. And yes, he was annoying and he was an asshole and he was arrogant, but that was part of it. that's the part that was part of it, and it made him feel so real and so alive in comparison to a character like Seven of Nine who's so repressed and so buttoned down.
Well, there was growth there. It was kind of like,
Yeah.
I would compare him to Data almost. Okay, like Data, he grew, but in his own way. He didn't grow emotionally. The Doctor, he grew emotionally. Like he started out as a medical program, but
Yeah.
by the end of the show, he was the tinker, the writer, the author, the he was writing.
He was a romantic.
He was the jack of all trades. So it was
Yeah.
like I dug the Doctor by the time it was done. And
Me
anytime I
too.
see Robert Picardo and anything else, I'm like, yes, he's the Doctor. Well, and then they brought him back they brought him into Deep Space Nine because they were going to make Bashir the next EMH, which I thought would have been awesome. And then they found out that Bashir was genetically enhanced.
Yeah,
So
which led to one of my least favorite arcs on Deep Space Nine. They didn't play that very well to me.
They took what was once this timid character and they made him into this arrogant guy who could do no wrong.
Suddenly, instead of being this kid who wants to be on the frontier of medicine, remember how bad Kira was pissed off when he said that? Yeah, holy shit! Right? She looked like she was going to punch him. It went from being that and the character growth that he had made up to that, and instead turned him into Clark Kent trying to convince everybody he's not Superman. And I'm sorry, you fucked it up. Yeah. You dropped the ball hard on that one.
But there were some highlights, though. His Section 31 stuff was really good. I love the Section 31 stuff. I mean, it was so good that they decided to keep it for other things because that's how damn good it was.
Yeah, and they even had it in Enterprise, which was a proto Section 31. Yeah.
True. But no, I like how it kind of took the bright, happy world of Federation and put it into disarray. And if you like, for me, like the narrative going out of Deep Space Nine, because that's the last Alpha Quadrant show we had, or main quadrant show that wasn't off in the Delta Quadrant. I think the tone of the shows going forward it kind of fits. So as far as like the Dominion War, I think they should have made that a movie instead of Nemesis.
Yeah, I think that would have been a better choice. Enterprise was Alpha Quadrant. You kind of ignored that.
Well, I'm talking like chronologically speaking.
Okay. Sorry, I get it. Chronologically, not production order. Got it.
No, in terms of production, I think Voyager went one more season after Deep Space Nine did. So I mean,
yeah. Sounds about right.
Yeah, because
I don't have it in front of me, but that sounds about right.
I think one ended in 99, 2000. The other one ended in 2001.
Yeah,
and then Enterprise like debuted the next week. So
yeah, and honestly, if they had, and I'm not saying even run around and change the scripts because I thought the characters were, I liked the character growth that took place on Enterprise, but wait a year. Don't bring it out so fast. Quit shooting your wad. Edge the audience a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree because they shot their wad with the Dominion War and the Borg stuff with Voyager, and then it was like that. Everything that was great about Star Trek was hitting that fevered pitch, and then boom! It's been a long road.
Oh yeah, and that was a poor choice of theme song. Fucking go back and get Alexander Courage's original theme song and just retool it a little bit. Don't do that.
No.
That
was a turn off for me.
Don't pick a bottom 40 hit.
Well, the only other issue I had with Enterprise specifically was the technology they had on Enterprise was more advanced than the technology on the original series. So it was like, well, in terms of like touchscreen panels and all that kind of stuff. And I understand one show was made in the 60s and you can't have sweet ass ocudigrams everywhere, but like that was kind of a turnoff for me.
I don't disagree with you. I really don't. As much as I would like to sit here and argue that point. Now, when it comes to like the big technology, okay, they actually incorporated that rather well, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But the small stuff, the small scale stuff that make the world seem alive, yeah, that was wrong.
Well, it was like there was flat screen monitors on every panel, and it's like they didn't have that on the original Enterprise. You
Yeah,
know, the original Enterprise was more like a submarine. It was just bare bones to get you what you got to do, man. Like it's not like the Next Generation where they had amenities.
yeah. Well, the next generation was like a luxury
It
liner
was
for
a
Christ's
yacht.
sake. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a freaking giant yacht.
It did seem like that.
Speaking of submarines, the episode "Balance of Terror" from the original series. Oh my God, what a fantastic analog for a destroyer versus a sub combat, because that's really what it was. It was a throwback to the old World War II films where there would be a destroyer hunting a sub, and you would jump back and forth between the sub crew trying to be quiet so they don't set off the sonar, and the destroyer crew trying not to attract their attention too hard. So it's so good, such a good episode. Then I bring that up because earlier in the chat, it's already flipped by, and I'm sorry I didn't jump onto the time. Somebody asked us what our favorite episodes were.
Oh,
When it comes to the original series, The Balance of Terror is up there. It's in the top 5.
yeah.
Patterns of Force is another one that's extremely good. A Piece of the Action, if you want to go for fun gangster stuff, that was an absolute ball.
Okay.
So much fun with that one. And how can you not have trouble with the tribbles on that list? And then the incredibly good crossover with
Yeah.
Deep Space Nine that they incorporated so perfectly seamlessly
Yes,
with
they did.
that episode. So
100% on that one.
so I'm sorry I didn't give you one episode, but those. There's just too many good ones to say one.
That's such a hard one. As far as the original series is concerned, Space Seed, I love that one.
Oh God, I forgot
Introduces
Spacey.
us introduces us to Khan. I've kind of cherry picked the original series as opposed to like just watching it all the way through. So I have a few set of my favorites. As far as Next Generation is concerned, oh man, it depends.
Measure of a Man.
Measure of a Man's a good one.
Measure of a Man is that episode changed everything. From that
Absolutely.
moment on, it absolutely changed. It changed the way everybody looked at almost everybody on there because Riker is the fucking villain. Riker is your fucking villain in this, and he's good at it.
Yeah, he has to be the prosecutor, you know.
Yeah, and there was so much depth that came out in that one that for next gen, it has to be Measure of a Man for me.
I loved Best of Both Worlds. That's definitely up there. All Good Things is up there. Time's Arrow Part 1 and 2. It's fun as all hell.
It's fun. That is so much fun.
And the Easter eggs dropped in that episode are just hilarious.
And the dude that played Mark Twain did so fucking good.
Damn right he did.
So good. He looked like him, sounded like him, acted like him. So great. Great. Oh, Chairman. Hey, Chairman. I'm sorry if I missed you there.
My number one, though, for Next Generation, Chain of Command, Part 1 and 2. I mean, you cannot. There are 4 lights dealing with a show that dealt with torture.
Yeah.
It just and how well they handled that, and to actually see what a Cardassian torture looked like, because you got to hear about it so much from Garrick in the Next Generation or in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
As far as Deep Space Nine goes, past tense, and I bring that up because I feel like we're marching headlong into it because past tense is the episode where Bashir Cisco and Dax get sent back to the year 2024.
Oh, the riots. Yes. Okay. I missed. Yeah.
Tell me, can you not see that
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah. Yeah. It feels disturbingly prescient.
Yeah, I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh man, Star Trek, stop calling the future, man. You need to stop it. Because I don't think I can make it to 2063 for us to make warp drive and meet the Vulcans. Because I
Well,
need that.
now the Albuquerque warp drive, they keep revamping those equations and making the power supply smaller and smaller. So
True.
you never know. We could be closer than you think.
There you go. It's got to happen, man. I believe in the Star Trek future because once we meet that, find out that there's somebody up there, everything's gonna change because we're not alone. Like Marina Sirtis's line in First Contact is exactly how I believe the future is going to be. So it's going to be good. I mean, we're going to have to go through World War III to get there, but it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Wow.
I think, dude, honestly, what they should do is like give us a book that deals with that. Like I know they did some stuff with like the eugenics wars and with Khan, and they kind of said that was World War III, but then like it got retconned because like obviously they went back in Voyager in the 90s, and that wasn't the case. That was another good episode.
Well, yeah, it was Voyager 6, wasn't it?
Yeah, the probe, Voyager probe. But no, the
spoiler alert, by the way, for anybody who didn't know.
But no, and then it's past tense. Way of the Warrior is great, and What We Left Behind, with the exception of like the last 5 minutes.
Pale Moonlight.
Yes. Oh,
Pale
Moonlight. The Visitor is a good one.
Yeah, The Visitor is really good, but Pale Moonlight is one of the darkest things in pre-J.J. Abrams Star Trek. It really is. It's what Cisco takes part in. And this one, you know what? I'm not going to drop a spoiler for this one, folks. Go and watch In the Pale Moonlight.
It's that great. It's a fake.
Yeah. And that's just it. Go find Deep Space Nine. It's everywhere. It's streaming on every possible service you can imagine. Find the episode In the Pale Moonlight. Don't worry about what came before. Don't worry about what came after. If you've never seen one before, it doesn't matter. Watch this one episode and know that what you are seeing is some of the darkest shit that was ever in Star Trek, particularly what it actually means to the universe and to the characters in the show.
It was very instrumental what they tried to get that Romulan to do by joining the war. Like
wow.
And then Garrick at the end when they blew up the courier's ship and they killed the admiral or they killed the representative, I was like,
it was a senator.
I like
it was a member of the Romulan Senate.
Senator Kretak, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good one. And then the one where they all impersonate Klingons and find
that
out
one was
that
funny as hell. I know that one was serious, but I could not help but laugh at that one. Not in a bad way.
But then the Voyager, I loved the pilot episode. The Caretaker was a good one.
I thought the pilot was the best of the first 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm. Scorpion Part 1 and 2. That's when we find species 8472, and we meet 7 of 9 for the first time.
Yep.
Because she comes in at the end of Part 1. Season 3 finale. I remember waiting all summer for that one. Oh boy.
Now, this one, the name is escaping me. I think it's The Raven, the one where she learns of her own childhood.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Her parents' ship, the Hansons.
Holy crap, that was good. And what you get from effectively that moment on is you have a story arc with a character who is going through PTSD from childhood abuse.
Yeah.
And it's an arc that you may not notice right off the bat, but it's absolutely stunning when you see what a full-fledged arc they give her, going through all these stages essentially as going through a recovery from that kind of abuse, from childhood abuse.
True. Well, yeah, absolutely, and you could tell it scarred her,
Yeah.
as far as that goes. And this will be my last of my favorites of the episodes. It was called The Game, I think. It was another two-parter season finale. All my favorite episodes are two-parters for some reason. I don't know why. It's kind of weird. No, but it's the one where the Herosians take over the Voyager, and they turn
that's a
half
good
the
one.
inside of the ship into a holodeck. And like every one of the crew is in a different simulation, and each one of the simulations is different. So it's like World War II France. So like they're the resistance.
That
And
was so good.
it was fantastic. I loved it, man. Just how they do it, and for that, Robert Duncan McNeil is my favorite character on that show. Tom Paris. Okay, how he just fell into that era when he was talking to his woman, Balana. Like he's like, cheer up, baby doll. It's like he totally loved that era because he's a student of that era. And that's what I love about like Tom Paris. Like he was us. He was the every guy, the dude that understood, 90s stuff. Like what was it, Demolition Man, where Sandra Bullock's character was like obsessed with the 90s. It was like that was Tom Paris for me. Oh yeah, and then Bride of Chaotica, that was a good one.
And let's go into Enterprise. My favorite episodes of Enterprise are any episode with Commander Shran.
Yes, Jeffrey Combs.
Commander Shran, it was the perfect way to have the Andorians there. Yeah. The Andorians are such a great species with kind of that iconic look, and he carried that off so well. Jeffrey Combs is such a great actor and kind of underrated and almost unknown outside of fandoms. But good.
Well,
so good.
Weyoun. Okay.
Yeah, he was awesome as Weyoun.
Okay, Brunt. I forgot one of my other favorite episodes is where they have to go rescue Ishka Moogie from the Dominion, and they trade. Oh, is it Iggy Pop?
Yes, it's Iggy Pop. Fucking Iggy Pop. I couldn't believe it when Iggy Pop was there.
Yeah. Oh man, no, dude. I anything that has to do with Grand Nigazek, because Wallace Shawn is hilarious.
Yeah.
Just I love it. Anything on Ferenginar, like when they have to go to the Ferengi building of commerce and everything requires a tip. he's like, can I sit here? He's like pointing at the money bin. It's like,
yeah.
But yeah, no, just like, and then the relationship between Quark and Rom, like I see that in my brother.
Yeah.
But for Enterprise, anything with Trip Tucker, like I love Trip in that show.
You know what? You're absolutely right. I should have included Trip in that because Trip is a really great character.
Dude, he was like the heart and soul of that show. Like
they really needed to keep him with his pants on though, because they'd put him in those tight boxer briefs. And that dude must have a package the size of a fucking racehorse because it looked like it would be dragging the ground if he wasn't wearing the shorts. Keep the pants on him. I don't need his bulge. Thanks.
Well, I wasn't looking at that. I was more looking at Jolene Blaylock.
She looked at it in that one episode. She turned around and looked at that fucking bulge. And I'm like, Jesus, get the camera off of it.
Well, she was thinking that what everyone else is thinking.
Oh my god, you guys are great.
Fried catfish. Oh.
I hope everyone's having a good time tonight. I know we started out a little rough with the debate, but
it's not a debate. It's more of a discussion than anything else.
It's like people who really like metal music, but they really, really down for that one specific brand of metal. So when they're like, "Yeah, I like new metal. It's sweet," they're like, "New metal is trash, man."
New
What are you,
metal
like
is
Linkin
trash,
Park?
man.
You know, it's like,
Yeah, freaking!
I grew up in the '90s
Travis
and I
was on a
love
stream
Linkin
the other
Park.
day,
So
and they were
come at me,
talking
bro.
about no. It was on your stream, Brian, when you had Willie.
We were talking about
and
old
we were talking about
Trevor
new
Nation.
metal,
Like,
and I fucking
yeah.
love new metal. I love
Yeah.
Disturbed. I like Stained. Like I love new metal. And
Now you know what? I do like Disturbed.
William says, well, they didn't have any solos. Have you heard Disturbed? They have nothing but solos.
I will give you Disturbed. I like Disturbed.
I liked Godsmack, System of the Down. Like, there's a ton of new metal bands that were really damn good.
I freaking love new metal, dude.
Dude, I graduated high school in 2001, so like all that stuff was like, that was what I had. Yeah. So
yeah, I totally
dug
understand
it. But newer stuff, I'm just like, what is this? Screaming and blast beats and chunky breakdowns. I'm like,
let's see. Megadeth has a new album coming out this year. My favorite band. Speaking of old metal,
there you go.
Oh yeah,
good old thrash.
That's awesome, dude.
You know, like
thrash metal was where it was at for me. It was Megadeth, Anthrax, Slayer, Metallica, and after that, everything else is a side B.
Yeah, the big four of the thrash metal movement, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Metallica.
I did it all. It was and
still is my favorite. Yeah,
I was too young, so I got hair metal. Like one of the first bands I really liked listening to when I was younger was Motley Crue. I grew up on the Guns N' Roses trip. Like
he's the one that called Dr. Feel Good. He's the one that called Make It All Right.
Dude, I saw Vince Neil at in Vegas at New Year's, man. Almost as good as Blues Traveler. Almost.
Almost.
The problem with Vince Neil nowadays is no matter where you look, you still see Vince Neil.
And
that's what I mean.
He's a big dude. He's a big dude.
Over there. Hey, Vince is still over there. Right. Shit, oh fuck, he's still there. God damn it.
I thought it was a TV. No. It's called
Megadeth. Yeah. Great.
Oh my god.
It's awful. See, right? Nah, give me my Dio. A little bit of, Judas Priest. I'm good.
Oh, hell yeah. Give me some of that
European
painkiller era, the painkiller era of Judas Priest. That was my favorite era.
There you go.
Yeah.
Dude, I go all the way back to Rockarola, man.
I agree.
I grew up on classic rock, so it was like classic rock was my jam, dude. My favorite band is Rush, so it's like you can't get any nerdier than that when it comes to music.
Yeah.
I'm like the prototypical. If you look up Rush fan in the dictionary, you're going to see a picture that somewhat resembles this. Balding, overweight, glasses, and super nerd.
And to really top that off, you need to be screaming at somebody when they disagree and say, Neil Peart was the best, man.
Geddy Lee, man, best bass player ever. Dude, he filled in for Yes. That's how good of a bass player he is. Okay, and a dude from Yes is like amazing. You listen to Roundabout, like boom, 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 boom. Insane. I was kidding.
Let's see. Best bass player. It has to be Les Claypool.
Yeah, I was gonna say Les Claypool.
It has to be Les.
Yeah.
I mean, Les.
Geddy Lee, very, very close. No, it was funny. My mom saw Primus in concert because she went to go see Rush. Primus was the opener.
Yeah, fucking. Les Claypool is the weirdest metal guy ever because he loves fucking southern rock and sort of countrified music, and then he'll go up and he'll play some shit like Lacquerhead, and you're like, dude.
Some of the most progressive shit you've ever heard, and you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
No, he came to my hometown and played a theater like 50 people.
Oh,
Les Claypool. Like, dude, he is such a great dude. Like, just as a musician and as a person, like, he'll take time, come out. Dude, he's a real good dude, man. Oh.
Yeah, he'll actually stop and talk to you too. Yeah, it's weird. He just kind of walk past and just stop and just have a conversation that has nothing to do with music. He'll talk to you about nerd shit.
Now I want to do a music stream. Jesus. This,
Sorry,
Yeah.
we derailed it again.
It's okay. No,
Oh,
it's
no,
giving me. You guys are giving me freaking ideas. This is awesome. Geek says,
Show
"Congrats,
topics.
Josh.
What are we
You're
gonna do?
hit
Music.
100."
All right, let's do it.
Geek Studio says, "Congrats, Josh. You're gonna hit 100 this week. I'm calling it." Well, thank you, geeks, and thank you for everyone. Freaking, I was on
Faster than I
Gargut
got
stream
there,
last
man.
night, and I didn't
Dude.
even know it. I thought I was just talking backstage at Discord, just hanging out with them. And then I just happened to be on a freaking live stream.
Nice.
Yeah, because we were just shooting the shit about wrestling and stuff. And that's like my laid back stream. That's before bed. So I'm like not trying to be nice and conservative and put up a front or anything. I'm just like,
Well, that's some of the best shit because it's real.
It's like raw and filter. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'll
I
call
spend
him out.
so
I'll
much
call
time.
Garguts out, and I'm like, you drink too much fucking 40s. Like,
I spend so much time like trying to be diplomatic lately. It gets exhausting. So when I could talk about something like this, it's a little bit different. So,
but Garguts and I are putting together some good stuff. For all you wrestling fans out there, we are doing a combined multicast. Both channels, we're going to be doing the Royal Rumble watch party. We just came up with the idea last night, and I just wanted to freaking make that announcement because I know I think we got about 6 wrestling fans on this channel, if not more, which is cool. And we're just trying to build it into one big network so we can all come together. Because one of my good friends, Aaron, he tried that and he couldn't get many. But I think if we all come together, we can create like a super team, dude, and just combine our channels. And I'm so blessed. And Brian, I got to thank you. I met Gargut through Brian, and he has a food stream, and we just talk about our favorite foods, and it's very chill. Like for Thanksgiving, he did a whole map on certain foods that certain states will use for like Thanksgiving. So like somebody will have
top dishes, top side
casserole.
dishes, per state.
Yeah, like so, and that was really cool. We've talked about breakfast food stuff, like all kinds of different stuff, and it's really awesome. You guys check out Brian and his channel. He does Star Trek stuff, but his weekly show is Master of Noms. Just talking about food, and it's cool, man. It's chill. It's laid back.
I do more food streams than Trek streams, honestly.
Yeah, and we love the food streams. They are so cool. We have so much fun. Like, yeah, and it's really awesome.
No, my thing with the Star Trek is that our group, our bubble, doesn't watch Star Trek. So a lot of my subscribers are from like DC content, and I don't do DC content either. So it's like, well, I found myself into a weird spot. Well, no, because I don't really want to dip my toes in with the traditional Star Trek fandom.
Yeah,
because I don't want to argue. I just want to enjoy.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I did that, I would be putting myself back into the fandom menace mindset about Star Trek that I had a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Until I broke down and watched the show, and Doomcock was wrong.
Well, has he ever been really right? I mean,
if you believe that current Star Trek is vandalized and torn to shit, then yes, then Doomcock would be right.
No,
because that's what he says.
That's making an assessment. I'm talking about in all of his little rumors that he claims that he has.
Nobody's going to retcon Star Wars, no matter how much you wish. It's not going to happen.
Kathleen is going nowhere.
Just like nobody's going to go back and destroy old Star Trek.
Yeah. I mean,
no, and then it's Walter Hamada who runs DC films. It's like, Jesus H. Christ, dude.
It's this whole thing of people wanting to complain about. Yeah, that and the Scooper talk. I just can't do it, man. But like we're trying to. It's this whole thing of being stuck in a bubble, and if we all come together and strip away the ego and take away my community or this community,
have you been
I'm really starting to hate the word community because of it. Why don't we just come together and collab and share viewers and grow that way, and we can become successful and have fun and talk about the things we like talking about. So, and you got my support, Brian, 100%. I definitely appreciate you coming on. This has been really cool. And
Yeah, I'm gonna probably have to get off here pretty soon. I gotta get
we'll go ahead
get
and
some
wrap it
eats.
up. Yeah.
Well, if you ever did want to talk about DC Comics, I'll talk about old DC Comics.
I won't. I don't really. I'm lazy sometimes when it comes to consuming properties.
Yeah.
I'm more of a TV movie kind of guy when it comes to the comic book stuff. So
Okay.
I don't know too much about. I mean, I've done some research on as far as like YouTube, but there's a couple of comics explained and stuff like that where they'll tell you what happened in that run.
Well, it's understandable. You're dealing with some characters. Okay, if you notice the bunny ears, that was Christine, the killer, being a complete and utter ass. But
oh my God, that's
if she busts out the clippers while we're on stream, that's epic.
Yeah, but thank you
okay,
guys
you
so
guys
much.
saw that, by
Thank
the way.
you.
That was spousal abuse, and we have it on camera. So
I'm
Yeah,
not taking down this video because I thought this was good. But yeah, thank you, Saint Ravage. Thank you, Brian, for coming on so much. It was an honor to have both of you on here.
no problem at all. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here. Anytime you want me to come around, I will come around, and I will sound like an old curmudgeon who hates everything that you young people do in your damn rock music. Get off my lawn, you
Yeah, thank you so much. Hey, George. Yeah, we're just wrapping up. You can always catch it on the replay. This is a very interesting, I wouldn't say necessarily heated, but it was an interesting debate. I hope Brian had a great time. I wish Brian to come back in the future. We'll do music talk next time, Brian.
If the stars and schedules align, I'm more than happy to be
second.
here.
If Brian does
I know
come
Brian
back,
usually
I'm
works.
going to feel like crap about that. I wasn't trying to be a problem. If that's
Oh no, dude. My thing is like as far as like the arguing about Star Trek type stuff, it's like for me personally, it's been done. So it's like, okay, cool. That's just your opinion, man. I'm like the dude from The Big Lebowski. You know? Just, the dude abides.
Oh my God! Why is it that as soon as I'm getting done, I'm getting people in?
I'm like the guy from Big Lebowski that gets cremated and then spilled on his friends.
Donnie, who loves a bowl.
Oh my God, these people are liking it. Everybody likes it. Well, thanks, guys. I definitely appreciate it. Thanks for the support. Yeah, like I said, you can catch it in the replay. We had an awesome discussion. We talked about multiple generations of Star Trek. I want to thank my guests. Thank you, viewers. We're gonna do an Alien versus Predator for this weekend, Saturday. That's going up Saturday. I'll probably do something midweek. Of course, I got the wrestling stream on Friday. And if you guys got any ideas, pitch them to me. Hit me up on Discord, Twitter. Leave it in the comment section. Any ideas you guys got for any type of topics you want to hear about? I'll definitely do it. I always pay attention to you guys. Always listen to you guys. So thank you so much. Once again, thanks to the guests. Go subscribe. Go if you're watching the replay. Go back about 5-10 minutes. The plugs for their channels are both there. Thank you so much, and until next time, have a great night. Freaking mouse.
Only hold the smile for so long, man.